Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and this question is for the Premier. Last week, we learned that this government's obsession with taking our school system from bad to worse had resulted in a school in Ottawa being closed for 2 days because of mold from leaky pipes. Students in classrooms across this province are wearing coats and mittens to class because the heat isn't working. Buckets catch drips from the leaky school roofs, and even the water fountains aren't safe to drink from. To the Premier, Mr. Speaker, under this government's watch, the school repair backlog that got out of control under the Liberals has grown by $400 million to a whopping $16.3 billion. When are you going to stop making our kids suffer and start reversing your heartless cuts to education?
Questions to the Premier.
Minister of Education.
Referred to the Minister of Education.
Thank you, Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we are absolutely committed to ensuring that children are able to learn in a positive and safe learning environment, which is why some months ago I announced the opening of a $550 million capital investment on an annualized basis to make sure that we remediate the backlog that we inherited after 15 years of the former Liberal government. Mr. Speaker, we're also committing to meet the Auditor General's request of 2.5% in allocation. We are doing that through a $1.2 billion annual allocation to maintain our schools, because we expect schools in this province to be a positive learning environment for every child in Ontario.
Supplementary question.
Mr. Speaker, those numbers don't take into account that you're also covering new school bills. If the Premier won't listen to my numbers, maybe he will start listening to Ontarians. Today, the Ontario Public School Boards Association released new public opinion data that makes it crystal clear. Ontarians don't see education as a place to make cuts. In fact, they overwhelmingly see it as a place to invest. But this government continues to push ahead with plans for fewer teachers, bigger classes, and a risky, mandatory online learning scheme. Mr. Speaker, last week the Premier stood in this place, bragged about how proud he was that his government eliminated funds earmarked for school repairs. Why does the Premier think that mouldy schools, overcrowded classrooms, and chaos in our education system are anything to be proud of?
Minister of Education. Members, please take their seats.
Mr. Speaker, Ontarians, through that, the OSPA report, have suggested they support more investments in public education in the future of this province, which is why, Mr. Speaker, under this Premier's leadership, we are investing more than $1.2 billion more this year than we did last year. Mr. Speaker, that very survey suggested overwhelming support for expanding opportunities in the skilled trades. It's why, under this government, more students, over 50,000 women and men, will be in skilled trade programs in this province under our leadership. Under that report, they support more investments in special education and mental health. It is under this Premier's leadership we've more than doubled the investment in mental health and increased special education to the highest levels ever recorded in Ontario history. In that report, they also support standardized testing, a question I'd ask members opposite if they too support. So over 70% of families support that. We believe in measuring success. We believe in ensuring accountability for all members of education, and we believe in listening to those we serve. We're going to continue to invest in education, in the defence of public education in this province.